Should Christians be involved in politics? Is Christian nationalism good? Is the Black Lives Matter movement good? Is the Bible reliable? What about the rest of the problems in our society? What about today is Charlie Kirk's Remembrance Day? The Black Lives Matter movement good? Is the Bible reliable? Continue watching, my friends, and we will discuss all of that. Just keep watching, but embrace your heart, your minds, and have an open mind as you listen to the truths that I will lay out.
Concerned about all of these Negro preachers who've been, in fact, talking about that this man that was killed was the answer to Christ in the earth. Y'all ain't saying nothing. They having moments of silence in black churches all over the country over a man that was racist and a white supremacist. How dare you compare him to Martin Luther King? The only thing that Charlie Chris and Martin Luther King got in common is both of them was killed by a white man. After that, they got nothing.
This video, my gosh. You should be ashamed of yourself. As a pastor, you're saying this from the pulpit? Man, you should be ashamed of yourself. The Bible talks about false prophets infiltrating the church. You should be ashamed of yourself that you are a pastor and you're talking about Negro preachers? Talking about Negroes, but excluding the fact that you're a Negro pastor yourself. You should be ashamed. Now, let's get down to business. For my assignment today is to develop a well-developed argument against these social issues and just bring down the donkey by its horn. So let's get down to business. Christian nationalism. Our first section of discussion will be Christian nationalism. Let me remind you, Christian nationalism. My friends, what is Christian nationalism? I'm guessing you probably heard that once or twice in your life. You probably heard that term. You probably heard it. Christian nationalism, okay? Christian nationalism is the idea, or let me say the foundation. It's not a foundation from the evangelical church, but it's a foundation that America was founded for Christians, or our society was founded for Christians, and we should have a democracy where the government enforces Christian values only. We don't have different cultures, but we just have Christianity. And many evangelicals are called Christian nationalists. We're called Christian nationalists. But do you know what it means? No. Many people who hear the term, we just go with the flow because it's the law of the land, supposedly. The government says it's the, if the white man says it, it's right. Now that's racist by definition. Amen, somebody. But the term, in fact, it's actually meant as a insult. It's meant as an insult. It's not because it's a derogatory term. It's not a term that edifies a Christian, but in fact, it's a way that we are to insult a Christian. It's an insult towards Christians. The social justice movement won over the day in the January of 2021, which I got my source from the New York Times. I also got that from the book Fault Lines, which is by Dr. Vodi Bakum. Dr. Vodi Bakum, and from the New York Times. Is also a synonymous term. Now, what is the definition of synonymous? The social justice movement and the Christian nationalism movement is synonymous terms. Synonymous term means two words or two ideas that have the same definition. So, Christian nationalism and the social justice movement is synonymous terms because they both mean the same thing. But notice something. It's by definition a clash of worldviews, and is rather a ridicule to Christians. Now, Social justice isn't justice at all. Some groups have been duped, or you can use the word marginalized instead of duped, but some groups have been duped with the social justice movement and Christian nationalism because, um, if you want, just like how Dr. Vodi Bakum said, if you want Christian nationalism, what else do you want? Do you want secular nationalism? It really depends on, in the society, what type of nationalism do you want? Number one, the Uncle Tom film, you see something. You see Uncle Tom in the Uncle Tom film, if you ever watched that. But the Uncle Tom film, it by definition shows you how we think that America was founded by white men, that America was founded as a racist nation. But the social justice movement, there's a social justice movement constitution that was founded in 1865. This has been around since 1865. And now the social justice movement is a definition since George Floyd, right? You have seen that on the rise. But that's not the big problem here. The problem is that we throw around the term as if it has a edifying meaning, but it has a dehumanizing meaning. Because again, Charlie Kirk, he actually said in one of his college campus talks, he said, I'm a Christian and I can be a nationalist, but I'm not going to be a Christian nationalist. The term is meant as a insult. So the term is not meant in, even though it's thrown around in a way that you would think that is good, but it's meant to insult you. Let's go on to the next problem. Our next problem is the dispardices in the black community. For example, 75% of children born out of wedlock is in black communities. But again, you need to be aware of this because back to the social justice movement, we get the eugenics argument, but just because something happened doesn't mean it was right. Just because something happened in society doesn't make it normative for society today. The social justice movement, including the Black Lives Matter movement, they are arguing from the different standpoints. But let me say that black people are very capable and not utterly dependent on the government and people of goodwill. That statement, I'll read it again. Black people are very capable and not utterly dependent on the government and people of goodwill. And that statement was made by, again, Dr. Vodi Bakum. But it was in an interview with Ben Shapiro. It was about last year or 2 years ago, and the interview was called Biblical Manhood with Dr. Vodi Bakum and Ben Shapiro. It's a good interview to watch because you see the exposure of how men have been weakened in a way. But also, children need a father and a mother. A child cannot successfully thrive in a community with just a father. They cannot successfully thrive in a community with just a mother. Now, has there been examples of students that have thrived in communities where there's just one parent? It depends on how you define the meaning of that. For example, again, I'm going to keep going back to people like that. For example, Dr. Ben Carson, or we can use Dr. Wody Bacham again, but Dr. Ben Carson, we'll go on to him. Dr. Ben Carson, he grew up without a father in the home. His father left him when he was a little boy. He left the family. Did his father's absence stop him from thriving in communities? No. Again, he says that he was born in a gang-infested, drug-infested neighborhood. But look at him now. He's one of the most successful black men in America. So, but think about this rationally for a second. those in the black community, or just in any community at all, I'm not directing it just to the black community, just any community at all. If a child lives and grows up with only a father, only a mother, they cannot successfully thrive in the society. They need both parents, because when both parents is there, they feel better backed up. They feel better supported. They feel that. But these are and the next one I want to talk about. It's affiliated with the same thing, but this is kind of deep. It's kind of shocking for men in a way. Women from age 25 to age 34 years old are more likely to have a degree than men in the Organization for Economic Cooperation. This source was from an article from the Organization for Economic Cooperation. They are arguing that women from age 25 to 34 years old are more likely to have a degree than men. Now, some people will argue that it's because men have felt out of touch in the culture. Many have argued that many have argued that many have argued that men are that they have become lazy, or that men are being seduced by women, and that men focus on women, how they dress. Dr. Ben Carson argues that this happens because of when you try to destroy the American family, when you try to destroy the foundation, individuals suffer. And I love that statement, because he talks about how when you try to erase the American family, individuals suffer, families suffer, and the nation suffers. But he talks about that. So what do we think is the issue here? Now, we see that women from age 24 to 25 to 34 years old are more likely to have a degree than men. This is not a statistic that relies on every man, but this is very interesting for us to concept, very interesting for us to really understand from a viewpoint. Now, next one. Have you ever heard the statement from mainly feminists, but have you ever heard the statement that marriage oppresses women? Dr. Bodhi Bakum, in a sermon he had a few years ago, he made this joke. He said, we already know what cavemen used to do. They used to just knock women over the head, do what they please, and then just drop them in the woods somewhere. But there was probably a caveman, me-man meeting, right? There's probably a meeting where these men said, hey, yeah, we're not oppressing them enough. But I got away. Well, tell us your way. Well, well, you see, what about if we just now become, what if we limit ourselves to one, and we're in charge of that, of her till death, and their offspring until they're 18. That will show them. It won't show them nothing. But marriage, does it oppress women? The women's feminist constitution, they claim that marriage is oppressing women. Marriage would oppress women if we didn't have the institution. Next, marriage does not oppress women. If there's no marriage, then yes, it oppresses women. Next agenda on the list, BLM, the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, many people are not aware of what the movement actually is. Number one, it's a Marxist organization. It is very anti to what they claim to be about. They claim to be an advocate, but it's really an adversary. They're supposed to be an advocate of the black or the Negro community, as the New York Times put it, but they're an adversary of the black Negro community. For example, leading people under the guise that all whites are racist. They also profit off of black people. The organization is all about money. The founders are lesbian Marxists. As I said, it was the founders are lesbian Marxists, as we know. The organization started in 2013, and this was about this case in 2013 was about a guy by the name of Trayvon Martin. He was shot. He was African American, of course. Fits their agenda. African American. He was shot by a Hispanic while he was on the trip. Black Lives Matter came, and that's how the organization started. Now we're not going to touch base on that, but please be aware that while Black lives matter, yes, lives matter. We know this, but the idea with them of Black lives is not about the lives at all, right? The Black lives that are being obliterated in the womb matter. As a Christian, we know that lives matter. Now, it uses black people. It's a more separation tactic rather than a unification tactic. Now, many don't know what to trust. 85% of Americans don't know what to believe. There's so many things screaming at us. But the Bible is reliable. In fact, the Bible is the most reliable text ever made. Since our nation foundation, we relied on the Bible. It's led to Western civilization. In fact, Alan Bloom, his book, Closing of the American Mind, on page 58, he says, in the United States, practically speaking, the Bible was the only common culture when they united the simple, the sophisticated, rich and poor, young and old. It provides the very model for a vision of the order of the whole of things. That's what he said. So the Bible is reliable. In fact, it is the most reliable book you will ever read, in fact. And you know what? We just have to hear what Dr. Vodi Bakum had to say. He said, I choose to believe, and I quote him. I quote what he said. He said, I choose to believe the Bible because the Bible is a reliable collection of historical documents written by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses who claim that they report of supernatural events and not of human in origin. So I want to finish off this assignment. I have the MacArthur Study Bible. I love John MacArthur. I have his Study Bible, but I want to end off with Isaiah 40, verse 8, which further shows why the Bible is reliable. It further proves my point. 40, verse 8. It says, the grass withers. I read it again. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God stands forever. The word of our God stands forever. So, in summary, I'm going to sum up everything we discussed. Christian nationalism, that term is meant as an insult. Social justice won over the day in January of 2021. It's a synonymous term. It's by definition a clash of worldviews, as rather a ridiculed Christian. Social justice isn't justice at all. Some groups have been duped with the social justice movement. And Christian nationalism, 75% of children are born out of wedlock. Black people are very capable and not only dependent on the government and people of goodwill. Children need a father and mother. Women, no, we won't talk about that. Marriage does not oppress women. If no marriage, then yes, it does. BLM is a Marxist organization. It's the worst organization. It does not benefit black people, but it is harming black people, and the word of God exists forever. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.